Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to File New. My name's Ryan Selvey. This is the show for creators and designers and all creators alike. If you're a creative person, if you're sitting at an account desk and you're interested in being creative, this is for you. If you have been in the industry for 40 years and you just love everything creative, this is also for you. We're going to be going over some cool rebrands, some exciting news, a spotlight, tons of resources today, and some really fun and goofy hyperlinks. So I hope you guys stick around. Say hello in the chat on YouTube, and we should just get right on into it. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of branding news. This one doesn't have a case study to it or anything. It's just something that people have been noticing online is the Threads logo. Threads also known as like the text-based source of Meta. So kind of like, X or Blue Sky. It's Threads. You probably get linked into it a lot. It is going under a new kind of rebrand. Threads is trying out a new logo. It looks italicized. It looks way more sans serif and lowercase, which is interesting. A thing that really stood out to me was this A here. So they originally took the A from the @ symbol, which was part of their main logo, and have now since moved away from that and are going with this kind of variable width of an A that is still kind of rooted in being a little bit closer to the D next to it. You can see that before there was a little bit of a transition maybe from this E with the straight lines that then kind of morphed into the circular of the D, where in this case a lot of it is just going off of this circular bowl of the E and the A and the D all together. It looks like the logo for the actual @ symbol has now since grown thicker. It is also at more of an angle. You can see that from here, if we were to draw a line directly across, let's actually just use the line here. Go directly across here, and we'll make it like red, I guess. You can see that it is now higher. They've done some stuff with, like I said, the A here. I really should be using my thing, shouldn't I? The A in both of these is interesting. You can see that they lowercased the T, so now there is a kind of like a cross kind of style. I think that it gives less importance and less, like there was a lot of empty space in this area before, and now there is less negative space here. I mean, they even brought together a little bit of the A and the T together to then get to a more concise block. You can see that now there is also less space with the H, D, and T being above the rest. They really brought down the ascender of the H and D and T to then make it all feel a little bit more connected and all as one singular thing. I think it's strong. I think it feels refined. It feels less like this feels kind of just typed out. Whereas this feels more of like a logo mark. I still don't think this is the most recognizable type. If I were to see this in its own way without having maybe like, like just the black here, if it was just, I feel like the easiest way probably to take this, do rectangle. We'll do rectangle here. We'll see if we can just, if we were to just like black this out, like I don't know if I would see and like associate that specifically with Threads, but they're not really doing that. So maybe it's all together. Penny is saying that that logo is so small in the app that they're not sure that they would notice, to be honest. Also, hello to Winter and Dino. Allison, good to see Allison as well. Threads scares her, she says. We have Alyssa, Oliver, 1,000 Larks, a bunch of other friends like Miss Melanie. So thank you guys for being here. I'm going to start a poll in the YouTube chat if we like it or we don't like it. And so I'm going to say Threads new logo. We'll say like it, don't like it. I'm going to start a poll, and I'm not even giving you guys an option to say that you don't care, because I'm going to make you form an opinion, and you're going to have to sit in that opinion if you want to contribute to everything else. Also, hello to Jacob Paris. Thank you for being our mod today. Nice to see you. We can move on to our next one. All of the links for today's stories are located in the raindrop in the chat. Next up, we have a story about one of London's most iconic buildings getting a new identity, and this is coming from Pentagram. The story is coming to us via Rosie Hilder from Creative Block. It says St. Paul's Cathedral undergoes a Pentagram-led makeover. So this is St. Paul's Cathedral. It looks a little bit like the Capitol building. Like if you were to knock me out and wake me up and say, where are you? Without looking at details, I might immediately just be like, oh, I'm in Washington, D.C. Which obviously this predates Washington, D.C. So I guess Washington, D.C. looks like this. But one of the things I thought was really interesting was this kind of almost exponent higher up of having the T and the S. And that actually comes from a reference to the original history of the building. It says that the elevated S and T are a subtle nod to the building's history and are inspired by typographic details found in a book in the cathedral's library. So they are going back to the actual source material, which is always really nice. It says in terms of type, there is Dynamos, Arizona Flare as the primary typeface, and Railway is the secondary typeface. And if you guys are interested in having Railway for yourself, it's available on Adobe Fonts. So you can always sync that and have that added. That one is designed by Matt McKierney, Pablo Imparli, and Rodrigo Fuenzalia. And that is from the League of Movable Type. We've actually featured them on the show before. It says the color palette is perhaps brighter than one might expect for a place of worship. It draws inspiration from interior of the cathedral, from the tones of the floor and the walls to the vibrant colors of the ceiling mosaics. The photography captures the grandiose nature of the cathedral, as well as the more intimate human moments that happen within it. They do also call out in the article the lack of the apostrophe may upset some, as might the full stop after Paul, but hopefully most people will be distracted by the form of the letters crafted from characters within the word mark in the accompanying monogram. So this is the monogram, which I think is really pretty. It has that SP, which works well. I think that it really intertwines, and you kind of take out the cut of the P right here. So if this was, I don't know, we can even showcase it ourselves. If we do like a yellow here, and if we were to kind of like add this, I don't think that would be as ownable. It would kind of just look like you overlap two things. But since they have since removed that piece of the P, I think that the kind of negative space it creates an interesting word mark that feels more ownable. You can see here if they were doing a bunch of the branding on the street and you're walking through, there is some really cool ways to be able to play with the type, to be able to play with this idea of the T and the S. I originally was not wild about the elevated T and the S, but the more that I read about it and the more that I saw that it was really rooted in the carvings of the actual words that are around the building, I found it a lot more charming. It says that it was designed by Sir Christopher Wren in the late 17th century, and it is a symbol of resilience during the Blitz and is known today as the People's Cathedral. So like I said, it came from Pentagram. It's drawing on the cathedral history, drawing on letter engravings, and it's also saying here, as I also was mentioning, that it is an excellent example of how to build on a brand's heritage. So they were working with the cathedral's stonemasons. The team explored and experimented with the word mark to see how it could be made into a modern mark that respected the cathedral's heritage, which I think it does. I mean, you see it and it feels modern. It feels nice. It's easily legible, but I also feel like it has a new modern update. I don't know if I love the dots here. How do you guys feel about these dots? Because I guess, that is something that is part of the full kind of reference to the old ways, but it does, I think it could almost do fine without it. Like, let's do that again. We can go in here and we can just kind of remove these, and I think that it would still be just as strong. I think maybe actually, now that I'm doing it though, it does create a nice fill here where there would be negative kind of dead space. Otherwise, it fills in kind of the area between the S and the P. So maybe that does work out. But Alyssa says zoomed out, it's fine. Yeah, so when it's as part of a whole unit, it feels together. But as far as zoom in, that's when it gets a little funky. Winter wants to know what's the point of the dots. 100 Larks also does not like the dots. I think it's, just as it is properly having kind of saint, ST period. The period after Paul's, I think, might be something that might be a little bit more rooted in maybe the original stonemasonry. And then also, having here. Also, using the dot here is also really interesting to see how there is this kind of LS, but then they're still having the dot down here create some cool weight and distribution in a poster like this. And I also like how this, has an RA and you don't necessarily know what it is towards, but it's just adding visual texture because most of the reference is on this beautiful spiral. And then also maybe, I don't know. I think they're just referencing different popular religious motifs, which also speaks back to the fact that it's a cathedral. But I think it's strong. It is Pentagram, one of the largest in the world, biggest design. I'm seeing Allison saying zoom in. I'm like, but it seems like zoomed out is all good. Tracy is in the chat. Nice to see you, Tracy. She says, if anyone wants a good book about St. Paul's and other churches around the UK, Steeplechasing by Peter Ross talks about the history. That's really great. Thanks, Tracy. So make sure you guys check that out if you're interested in. I can also throw it in the Discord so you guys can reference it later. And then we only have one more reference of the... we only have one more design story today. And this is all about Panera Bread. Who loves Panera Bread? Panera Bread just reminds me kind of honestly, like studying for finals in high school. Back when it looked like this. It was that kind of maroon, peach, tan, almost Tuscan, also referencing California style that was really big, that also felt like a PowerPoint in the 2000s. They're now updating with a new typeface, and you can see it here. And you can see that they're going off with "It Just Meals Good." I originally found this story through Brand New, reported on and reviewed by Jay, which they do a really great write-up, and they do a lot of different resources that I do not have, but you guys will have to pay for that one because that is not free. But they do have the actual case study on 72 and Sunny, which was the agency that created it. And they said that It Just Meals Good is Panera's new creative platform, a full brand reintroduction built around the emotional power of a real meal. It signals a shift from product-first messaging to a culturally relevant idea that reframes Panera as the place where every meal is an occasion. So I have all of the references to it online and the comments and the polling. Everyone really liked it, but I have kind of a big issue with one part, and I'll see if you guys know it. Does this remind you of anything? When you look at this, if I didn't tell you it was Panera, would you think it is maybe a different company? Would you think that maybe those colors immediately kind of speak as something else to you? Is it just me? What do you think? Because to me, what this looks like, especially down here with Toolicious and right here with the green goddess chicken cob. Is that really what it's called? The green goddess? Wow, okay. Chicken cob. And down here, it immediately reads as Subway to me. Yes. Yep. Subway. Yep. Oliver, Alyssa, Winter, Ben, Allison, Clever, Melanie, Umacorn, everybody is all saying Subway. So I was surprised to not see that mentioned. And now they have played around with this olive green before and the yellow, but when it's put together like this, especially with this big bold type, that's when I really felt like it turned into Subway. And I was surprised to see that wasn't mentioned, since that is something that is a big competitor to them. I'm seeing Tracy saying eat fresh for twice the price, which is really funny. But you know what? there is something about the fast casualness of Panera. When they have it as kind of this case study, I think it is really pretty, and they do some really cool stuff with some really good, I don't have the audio on here because I don't want to have a strike or anything for it. But they do a really good job at, especially when they're putting it on top of the tan, to have this product photography. That definitely does not feel like Subway to me. I like the script that it has. It feels a little bit dated. Feels a little bit like late 20 teens, but I think that in general, Panera doesn't need to feel like it's the next fashion spot for graphic design. I think that it can be on its own, and it can still just feel, as long as it feels comfortable. But yeah, over here, I'm also reading Subway, especially when you have this sandwich. When you have the sandwich here like that, I'm just looking like $5 foot long. And if I couldn't read, that's what I would immediately think it was. I see Clever is saying that she likes the pastries too much to totally ignore Panera. And Joel is liking the retro vibe. I'm seeing Chris is mentioning unusual orangey red. Reminds me of tomato soup. Yes, which, they have some great soup. Although I always get the I always get the French onion soup in a bread bowl. And then I also get a side of macaroni and cheese because I'm a child. But before we move on to news, which we have a few cool headlines for today, I do want to go and revisit the Threads logo to just see where we landed on with our polling. So I'm going to go ahead and the poll here looks like 18 people voted, and with 61% of the vote, 61% like it, and the other half at 39% said they don't like it. So you know what? That's a majority. They nailed it, and we'll see if it grows on you. It also is something that they're kind of slowly rolling out, and they haven't made much fanfare about. The way that I found about it was like a bunch of different users posted about it, and then people are starting to notice it. So we'll see in the coming weeks if they refine it, if they change it, and if they do, the place you'll be able to find it and find news about it is on File New. Let's hop on over to our next segment, which is news. Now, this is a Photoshop news story. I will say Adobe has not asked me to mention this. This is just something that I saw and I thought was interesting. And so I'm bringing it up on my own accord. Terry Lee White, as you guys know, is an Adobe evangelist, and he has a really good breakdown of 8 new features that just came with the Photoshop update that was released last week. I just wanted to walk you guys through a few of them. I could even probably pull his up and have it play in the background a little bit as I go and kind of talk over them, because there are some cool ones. This one, a lot of them have been ones that have been focused in beta for a while, but this is now something that is in the official release. You have reflection removal, and it will create a separate reflection layer for you, and then it will generate a different image on top of your image. So you can see down here, he has the reflection layer that it pulls. It has the background, and it also has reflection removal, which is really neat. So not only is it getting you the actual image that you want to see through it, you can also maybe get the reflection if that's what you're actually looking for. So maybe you're trying to remove the distraction that is inhibiting your reflection that you want to get in the mirror, but then instead, you can actually just pull that out. You can always use masking. You can use opacity to get it to a place that you like if you want to still have the essence of a reflection. But a super powerful tool that people were really excited about when they did in Sneaks a while ago. Then, of course, I'm sure you guys have seen this. This is just one that is now out with this dynamic text and being able to create circles and arches. Before, you had to do some really weird roundabout ways of being able to do text on type, among other weird solutions. And yeah, I'm seeing a call out for Terry Lee here, which, yes, we love Terry. But now you can easily go into Photoshop and you can create these arches, you can create these circles, you can create a bunch of different stuff. That then is all just easy one-click button. One that I'm sure people are super, 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 super excited about, this is what I'm most excited about, is layer cleanup is now in Photoshop, baby. So not only can you delete empty layers, you can also rename layers. And this is going to be either for a selection of layers that you want or the entire document. It's just this cute little sweep that you have down here in the bottom of the side of Photoshop. And it just helps you go, and then you will then get a brief description of whatever is on the layer in your layer panel. So finally, you have no excuse. And Frank, if you're watching, this is for you, Frank, the old guy that used to not name his layers when I had to work under him at my old agency. Then we have some adjustment advancements. These are ones that are now included in your essentials, and they are adjustments that can be suggested to you for your own creation of actions. And so you can see here that there are things like subject and background, where you can select the subject, you can blur the background, you can harmonize and blur layer. Now, when you select these, though, it will run through a series of actions in Photoshop to then create the changes that it is saying. It's not just going to do like an AI thing where it just gives you a plot. It'll do the actual historical steps to then make those changes in Photoshop, and then you'll be able to see them. What's also really cool here is in the video, you can see as he hovers over the different subject and background options here, it will automatically already give you a preview of what it's going to do. And then once you click it, then you'll be able to go into the history. You'll be able to see what it does. You'll be able to go into layers, see what layers it adds, if it adds, exposure, if it adds a mask, if it adds any of that. That way it's not just going to this black box and then coming out with a result. It's coming out with the actual steps that are there. They also did a enhancement to different distraction removals. So before, maybe there was, like people or wires. Now there is a very granular attention to detail as to what are labeled as distractions and what you want to remove from a photo, and it color codes it to all the different things. So then you're able to select what you want to get rid of, what you don't want to get rid of. You can see here when he goes to find distractions, it can pick up animals, barriers, fixtures, poles, potholes and puddles, spots and dust, urban elements, vegetation, vehicles, all of that. And then you'll be able to then remove it from your image. It'll put it on top. That way it is non-destructive. And then you can also mask things in and out if that's something that you want. The big winner that everyone's talking about online, obviously, is also rotate object. This uses generative credits to then be able to go and take an image and like rotate it. In this case, he was taking like a Lara Croft style image of a woman and then rotating it. It is low poly at first. It's like a low resolution. Then once you put it in, it then brings it all together and ups the resolution. And then you can use like harmonize to bring it together. You can check out this whole video with all of his 8 features. We only did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hello to Roscoe. And you'll be able to go and check those out. The link is in the raindrop. So check it out. And thank you, Terry, for giving such a great rundown on what's up with Photoshop. Now we have Jack say, I had a boss that would reduce the opacity of a color over white instead of making an actual tint. How long did you work at that job? How long did you have that boss, Jack? Because that you were braver than me for any of that. Umacorn saying I've done that, but not anymore. Also, people are excited about Roscoe. If he jumps back down, I'll make sure I go full screen for you guys. I don't have my spikes up today. Moving on to some Instagram updates. This is something that hit towards the middle of the end of last week. It is here he is. Oh, nope. These are new original content guidelines. So Instagram's coming out and saying the algorithm is about to change. And the best way that they can put it is if someone removed your contribution from a post, would your content basically be the same? And if so, it probably needs more of you in it, because they're updating how they're rewarding original content. The same protections that they introduced into Reels are now expanding to photos and carousels, which means that accounts that primarily re-upload others' work without adding meaningful creative input will no longer be eligible for recommendations across Instagram. As you guys know, and I'm seeing lots of hearts in chat for that. Yes. And also Jack is saying I'm not reading all of that Instagram, but it's interesting, and it's a really good update for creators, because for the longest time there was the issue where people were creating stuff, but the thing that was getting the most attention were just the accounts that were stealing other people's work and posting it. And they'd be like, oh, message me if you want credit, or like they would like just tag them and not reach out to them. For this show specifically, whenever I try to feature stuff, I always reach out to the person. I always say, hey, is it cool if I show your video on stream? Is it cool if we have that, included in this? And I also make sure to add my own talking on top of it. This is really a hopeful way to clean out the algorithm to make sure that it's not going to just be people reposting other people's content and getting all of the benefits from it without any of the hard work. 100 Larks is saying, lots of stealing, methinks. Yeah. Also, Jack is saying, good to know. I am very active on Instagram. Yeah, great to know. Also, Jack, if you're wondering why you are alone over on Behance, we have a lot of people over on YouTube. If you'd like to join the conversation, you can go ahead. Jacob, if you don't mind, put in the YouTube link in the Behance chat for me. I'd appreciate that. And Umacorn's also saying, so many accounts and YouTube channels as well. Yes, I agree. So basically, if you add your own content to the top of it, if you are adding commentary to it, if you are adjusting things, then that will add meaningful updates to then be new information or new commentary, creative narration, editing, and graphics. That all helps make it original, which, yeah, like you're putting in the effort. You're not just reposting something. And that's going to affect over the coming weeks or so. Ben says that hopefully this applies also to Facebook. I do not know about that, but we shall see. Let's talk about something that makes me nervous, though. This is for photographers out there, or even videographers, I guess, too. This is coming from Petapixel. This is from Jeremy Gray. They are reporting that there is a Kickstarter out called the Viper Pro tripod. And this is a tripod that does not need to have a foundation based on legs. This is that the maker says, if it holds, you can shoot, which is a terrifying sentence to me. If it holds, you can shoot. It says that it has a built-in hook and flipping central column, which fundamentally changes how photographers and videographers can stabilize their gear. You can see here that it's latched onto a side of a banister, concrete wall, a fire escape, a rock. And it is a Kickstarter that is currently selling it for, I believe, an early bird of $279 and $309, depending on the quality of the one that you want to see. You can see here that this has less adjustable legs than this one does, amongst probably a few other changes here. And as I always like to warn, it is a Kickstarter. I bought a light on Kickstarter, I think back in 2022. I still have not gotten it. They send me a message like every 4 months being like, here it comes. We're getting ready to send it to you. We need your address. And it's like, I don't know if I'll ever get that light, which is on me. So just as I'm saying with this is not an endorsement from Adobe. It's hardly an endorsement from Ryan. It's just, I think it's interesting and also terrifying. Dino is saying seems risky. Oliver says that he's not trusting his camera and lens to that. Allison says it's so chaotic and she loves it. Clever's also saying you can just get a magic arm. Yes, with the magic arm is those ones that have like a bunch of those kind of grips to it. Let me see if I can pull up here. Oh, no, that's not the one I was thinking about. You were thinking about this one, which I guess looks like that. And then that way you can kind of clip stuff and then go from there. It looks like there's a mantis pod over there that's also showing that it is just a bunch of people throwing their cameras around. So I hope, hope y'all can hope y'all can spend money on a new camera if it breaks. But it is a way to be able to get pictures in places that you wouldn't maybe normally get a tripod otherwise. So interested to see. I mean, it has already vastly exceeded the $10,000 goal. It's up to $87,876 right before this stream. So if anybody ends up getting it, let me know. It looks like they are unlimited quantity of both the super early bird of both, but then it just goes up a little bit. Yeah. What's a good transition for this? I guess we could say things that are breaking and getting your money back. Apple has agreed to pay iPhone owners $250 million for not delivering AI Siri. So basically, when they were launching the iPhone 16 lineup and the iPhone 15 Pro, which I have, there was like Apple Intelligence. And then as we've covered in this show before, that really did not come to fruition. They were actively pulling back and being like, wait, never mind, it's not ready, we don't want it. And we still have the same Siri that we had when they were launching this, and they're about to also come out with ideally probably the iPhone 18 soon. So what this means is if you got either an iPhone 15 Pro or an iPhone 16 of any kind, you can receive $25. And then depending on how many people actually go for this class action lawsuit and get their money, you might actually decrease or increase up to $95 per device, depending on the claim volume and other factors, which is exciting. So, I mean, $25 isn't going to buy you a new iPhone, but maybe it'll buy you something else cool. And this is something that just kind of was just recently settled. So let me know if you guys get it. I think I might try to get my $25. But, I still like my camera. I still like my phone. But it is disappointing that it did not have the main feature that they sold the phone about. So always got to be frosty. And then our last story of the week before we move on to resources is something come to us from Cartoon Brew. This is Jamie Lang saying the Oscars set new VFX AI rules for next year's 99th ceremony. And it says that the Academy Board of Governors have signed off an award rule and campaign regulations for the 99th Oscars, which is exciting. I think they're on YouTube next year, right? So that's pretty cool. And it says that the Academy's writing categories have been updated to explicitly require human authorship on screenplays, and the group has reserved the right to request more information about how Gen AI was used on many submissions. And it says that acting nominations are also restricted to roles that demonstrably performed by humans with their consent. So I think all the dead people in their fake deep fakes and other things are now going to not be eligible for Oscars, which is wonderful because I don't want a dead person to win the Oscar for best performance. Also, as far as VFX goes, now all Academy members will be required to watch the 3-minute before and after reels from the VFX Bake Off, which I did not know it was called the VFX Bake Off, but I love that. It makes me think of the Great British Bake Off. And it would be super interesting. Ben says, I thought it was 2029. It might be. YouTube might be 2029. Maybe it's 101. I don't know where the Oscars will be then. I'm spreading false news. Thank you for keeping me honest, Ben. I appreciate you. And now, you'll actually have to watch the before and after VFX stuff to then be able to vote on the VFX, which is really cool. And apparently it's scheduled for January 8th to 10th, 2027. And if you guys don't know, January 10th is my birthday. So, they'll be doing it on my birthday. And if you guys want to send me birthday wishes, mark it on your calendar right now. We're going to do a real quick spotlight because I believe Kendall's here, and I want to make sure that she sees that we are looking at her work. A few weeks ago, I think this was 2 weeks ago, we were reporting on how Jeff Bridges is bringing back the Widelux film camera, and it's this really crazy camera that takes film panoramas, which everyone's used to with their iPhones, but the fact that this was on film is really interesting. And Kendall was like, hey, when I was little, I actually got to play with one, and I got to take pictures. And so I just wanted to show it. She put it in the Discord. And yes, guys, I'm starting to use light mode Discord during the day. I'm a crazy person. And they were able to do some really cool stuff with like being able to change how they're looking in the mirror. You'd be able to move across a trampoline to look like a terrifying dragon thing. Being able to use a swing to have some motion blur amongst others. It has that really beautiful grain on it. And this is all on film, which is really, really cool. And so this is the camera that is hopefully coming back very soon, and the prototype is out. And I just want to say thank you to Kendall for sharing this, because it's really cool to see that something that we reported on you actually have older experience with. And I think they turned out really good. So thank you to Zonafly. And it is really cool. All right. And then, like I said, we've got a really heavy resource day. So we're going to hop into resource and just buckle up. Our first resource is for people who are After Effects users. So we've done some photography. Now let's go into motion designers. This one is for creating grids in After Effects. If you've ever wanted to create a grid that's circular, like a Ferris wheel or something, you might have wanted to be able to do it a lot easier than using expressions or moving things around and adjusting the orientation. This is all about making it easier to build circular grids, rectangular grids. They also have a path grid, and then they also have a spherical grid. It is on sale right now. It will eventually be $35, but after the 9th, which is Saturday, the day before Mother's Day in America, you'll be able to get it for a discount. This is $27.99, and it looks like the grid builder is actually a pretty simple user interface, being able to just go and kind of click out what is being gridded and kind of moving elements around your project. And it says that you can create, manage, and animate complex layouts with a single null. So that's for all the motion designers in the chat. Let's hear you say motion designers. If you're a motion designer, I don't know how many people actually are watching this live that are doing motion graphics, but nice to see you. Also, thanks for being here, Reverb Mike. He says he wants his $25. Also, Jack is saying that she wants to know if Apple can auto-enable Apple Intelligence every update. They can figure out how to make my permission stick because she has to constantly change that out. January babies in the house, says Oliver, because Oliver's birthday is on the 31st. This was one that I wanted to feature last week, and we ran out of time, so I want to make sure that we feature it today. And this is coming to us from Jason Sweat and his art director toolbox. So let's go ahead. I want to make sure that this is set up so you guys can hear it, and then we'll go from there.
Beyond ripping pages out of niche magazines, here are the best sources for visuals you can't find on Pinterest. Film Grab, Shot Deck, Frameset, Flim, Shot Cafe. These are all databases of film, TV, or music video screen grabs. Some are free. The paid ones are often worth it even for just a month at a time. Arena. I mostly browse, but love that it can be sorted chronologically or randomly, not algorithmically. And source links are front and center. That's important to me because the next resource is about going straight to the source. Talent agency / artist rep websites. Commercial artists often have management who help them find work. Some of the best artists aren't always in your For You algorithm. That agency might rep other fantastic photographers with a similar or totally obscure style. The search and categorization tools are usually non-algorithmic, which is a bonus. Art and Commerce, for example, has a fantastic image archive. And lastly, I switched from Pinterest to Cosmos because it's easier to track down source links. I'm an art director and creative director. I need mood boards that you can actually execute because you know who to hire. There's so much talent out there. But if there's ever a Pinterest to check out, it's Dave Dye's Pinterest boards. They're categorized by legendary designers and artists that you'll never hear about if you're only getting inspiration at the surface. All of these resources and the others are linked at my website, thetoolbox.art, which is full of all my art director bookmarks that have been public for 7 years now. Enjoy.
So extremely resourceful. Big shout out to Jason for being able to make that. Also, the website is really great. As he was saying, the art director toolbox, which is a really good place to be able to learn new resources. He's constantly keeping it updated. And that is all fully free for you to be able to access. And you can go through and you can see all the different things that he suggests. The ones that he called out that I personally also use is Cosmos. Cosmos is a really good resource gatherer because you can see that there's not really a overburdened slop of AI slop everywhere right now. If you go onto Pinterest, most of it is just AI, even if it's not labeled as AI. So it's nice to be able to go through. And as he said, it's really easy to find the source material. And then I also check out Arena. Arena tends to be a little bit more webby than it does visual for me. So they have a good newsletter that I like to get, and they like to highlight stuff. But Arena and Cosmos are the two that I really identify with and use a lot off of it. But I still need to go and fully experiment and look around the toolbox, because if you guys check out the actual website, which is toolbox.art, he has a bunch of tags to it, and you can be able to go through. Oh, look, he has the cover junkie here, which we actually featured last week. And so you can look through design, writing, media platforms, stock, publications, mock-ups, lots of different stuff. And then you can also, of course, join the newsletter, which is completely free. So a big shout out to him for letting us include that video, and then also just sharing all that information. Do you guys use Cosmos? Do you guys use anything like that? Chris is saying that he loves Cosmos. Great site. CA and LA are in the chat. Good to have you guys here. You guys are coming up next right after this, right here on YouTube, which will be fun. That is a great cinematography and film editing in LA show to check out. Next up, we're going to talk about some colors here, and this is some photo palettes. This is a way to be able to generate beautiful color palettes from your photos, whether you're a designer, artist, or just love colors. Photo palettes helps you extract stunning color combinations from any image, save palettes to your private library, or share them with the community. I know that there's Adobe Color, which always is a great resource for color, but this is also a really good place to be able to generate really pretty visualizations to be able to kind of have it on top of the background. Obviously, you can do that pretty quickly in like Illustrator or Photoshop, but this is a easy way to be able to share it and be able to create ones. It's also a really fun way to be able to explore other options, to be able to see other users that have uploaded cool pictures and then seeing how it can reflect whatever you're working on. So it could be a kind of inference or inspiration that comes from having a moody, cloudy day with a train. Maybe that aligns more with what you're working on, or maybe it could be something that's more like Bermuda. That is just photopalettes.com, and it's just really pretty, entirely free. I'm pulling it up right here so that we can even scroll through it, and then you guys can all see where it's coming from. I mean, yeah, look at this. This is so pretty. And then as you go through, it even has all of this hex code that you can copy. You can change out the background to see how it looks on different stuff. You can turn gradients on and off to see if you want just to have the steps. You can switch which kind of color mode it's in. And then you can also see if there are different color wheels that you want to then be able to work with or against to see if it works. You can also favorite it. And this comes to us as a free option, which is really nice. So that's just photopalettes.com, and I recommend checking it out as a resource. Tracy saying, love this. These are amazing resources. Well, just hold on to your hat because we've still got more. This one is for photographers who want to change the lighting. I wanted to include the fact that Project Light Touch was mentioned at Adobe Max and is not out yet. And so this one is kind of close to that idea. This is from Vividian, and they have a new Photoshop plugin that is using AI to change the photo lighting. So this isn't just being able to like point the direction of it. It is lighting it in different ways without prompts. It comes with 100 different preset, professionally curated lighting presets with studio, environmental, and cinematic styles. Things like 1940s film noir, theater spotlight, Blade Runner, and nightclub. And it can say that each relight is applied on its own fully editable Photoshop layer so that you can adjust and you can change opacity or mask or what have you. But the standout feature that is being highlighted by David Crew from Petapixel is that custom environment tools can also be added to the tool so that you can then take a lighting signature from any reference image and then apply it to a new piece of work. So if you already have a set or a series of something that is taken in that style, in that lighting way, and maybe you took a shot where some settings changed, or maybe it was a different day, or maybe you went on a lunch break and you came back and it was different, you can then use it to then apply it to the new image, which is really cool. They said that they're offering a free tier with 30 credits to try it out, and then they have plans that start at $10 monthly with 130 credits per month and range up to $55 per month with 950 credits. And then if you go even over top of that, there are even additional credits available separately. At that point, though, just learn how to light your stuff better, I feel like. You know what I mean? Yeah, man, I feel like that in itself. But especially if you're in a pinch, if you're working on some different stuff, I definitely would suggest checking that out. This next one is a resource for graphic designers and branding professionals. This is Logo Archive Now. This is coming from a guy that we have focused on so much with being able to have the logo archive of itself. Logo Archive Now, however, is a bigger focus on things that are mid-century modernism logos from 2000 to now. So these are ones that are maybe not in the history books yet, but might be working down the line to become really great things that inspire and impact future logos and branding to come. They do a really good job. All of these are separate posts of different graphic designers and the logos around them so that you can then explore and find the logos that they created and get some inspiration from them. It is really nice to be able to see that, the things that are important aren't just the ones that are, in the past with like other ones. So you can see, we'll go and we'll click into like to this one here, and we can see here that this is Drew Oxide, and it says that they have celebrated the logo designer of the past, but what of the future? You might find their own logos in the archive 20 years from now, and you can tag them to get featured, which is really cool. A really good place to just get some inspiration, look at different icons and logos, and go from there. Neato, I'm seeing in the chat. I'm seeing Neato, and that's entirely free. No subscription needed there. Umacorn was upset about the subscription for the other one, but I think it's mostly just so. I think for this subscription, I think it's mostly just so that they have revenue to be able to run the models, because it's expensive to run the models. I don't know, or maybe if you could just get the credits and then it'd be a use by credits, I feel like that would be better. But we live in a subscription world. For this one, it is a resource for designers and people that are just using type in general. I wasn't sure to put this in font of the week or resources or hyperlinks. This is something to be able to explore Unicode. Unicode is an international standard that assigns a unique number to every character, symbol, and emoji across all writing systems, and it enables consistent text representations across different platforms, languages, and programs, solving the corruption issues of older limited encoding systems. It covers over 172 scripts, alphabet, symbols, emojis, and historical scripts. And this is a really fun explorer. It almost looks like Mahjong to me, where you can go and you can click through different Unicode symbols to learn about them, and then also go from them. So this is just charcuterie.elastic.ch, and it's best viewed on desktop here, and you can see as you click through, you're able to then kind of expand the different ones. Like now we're in Mandarin, which I need to get out of, so you can then collapse it or bring it back to the center. We're going to go back here, and it's just like a fun way to then also find the different history, to be able to find things that are similar to it. And you can see that, yeah, this is the small letter around omega, and it is Cyrillic, which is cool. But then you can go over here, and I could just, if I wanted to, I could copy and paste any of this, and I could just put it in the chat, and boom, what do you guys know? This is, it even has a really nice noise on it too, which I don't think I'm sharing my sound, but I can do it just for a second. Sounds good. And so that's just a free resource for you guys to check out. Is that all of our resources? No, it's not. Our last resource that we have is telling you that you're biased. And this is all about Cognitive Bias Index. It is a tool for identifying and mitigating the systemic errors in thinking that affect the decision and judgments that human makes. Doesn't matter your upbringing, doesn't matter how open-minded you are, you have your biases that are just a fact of life. And so it's a really good way to be able to stay aware of those biases and being able to apply them to your designs and your creations, even your photos, your videos, your editing. Like, you want to make sure that you are not, creating a barrier for another group of people that isn't necessarily warranted. And so this is a collection of different tools that you can use and you can test against to see how you land and how your work is landing. And so that is just available via Cognitive Bias Index-tools. You can see here they have the 10-10-10 rule, which is a reflection tool that evaluates decisions across short, mid, and long-term time horizons. And it gives you how you can test it out. You can do something like controlling the order of information to reduce anchoring and framing effects, reference class forecasting, a structured debate whether one side proposes and another critiques to surface weaknesses. And these are just ways to mitigate being able to have some sort of bad bias. So we are limited on time. So we're going to hop over to Font of the Week. I'm glad you guys like the sound effects of the Unicode, because I did too. I really want to make sure I make time for this hyperlink, so we're gonna blaze through these, and you guys are gonna vote while I pull up the hyperlink in just a second. But Font of the Week, we have 3 different options, as we always do, all available on Adobe Fonts. This week's options for Font of the Week are JAF Johannes. We have Fenway Banner Variable. And we have, and I'm going to pronounce it poorly because I don't think I should, Cloisterfuch. which I think we've actually even featured on the show before, but it didn't win, so I brought it back. And so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to create a poll here in the chat, and you guys are going to vote on font of the week. And from there, we will be able... Oh, thank you. Screen. Yep. From there, we will be able to go off of each one. That's what I get for making my face too big, so you guys look at my face. So we have Johannes, Fenway, and Cloisterfuch. And if you guys pronounce it a different way, that's up to you. But I'm on Adobe Live right now, so yeah. Okay, so Johannes is techno meets black letter. It says it's hard to believe that this design actually dates back all the way to the 1930s, and it is based on the Johannes type design by Johannes Schultz for the Jentz and Hayes type foundry in Hamburg, and they digitized it and extended its distinctive and unusual typeface, and is a faithful revival of the original design. But then they also have one that has a little bit more contemporary shapes for some letters. So it comes in 2 weights. You have here the regular and then the original regular, and you can mess around with them. Then we have the Fenway banner variable, which was originally commissioned for Sports Illustrated, which is fun. It's this serif font that has excellent copy fit and strong color. It has precisely the qualities needed for a rigorous book typography and demanding publication design. It is robust with italics, economic, both holding the potential to be stalwart mainstays for any typographic designer. And it was designed by Matthew Carter, Richard Lumpton, and Jill Pacoda of the Type Founders, contributed in the expansion. And Fenway banner is a font family from Carter and Cone. Very pretty. Can be used in all caps, can be used in case, letter case, title case, everything in between. And then our last one, which I think is fun and goofy, is a mean-looking black letter with a gentle soul. Cloisterfuch is here to remind you that traditions can change for the better, and so can people, most of them. And says maybe Cloisterfuch doesn't have much to do with that part. It says that it was released in 2019. It's coming to us from Matt Hertzberg, from Hertzberg Design, and it is super funky, super weird. It is chunky, striking black letter that takes the varying pen angles and wasted strokes found in calligraphic scripts and pushes them to an extreme. The result is an exaggerated, blocky face with personality, best viewed large on the page. So yeah, you're not going to use this for your body copy. Get out of here. And it says there are hardly any straight lines to be seen, only the hairline strokes, and even some of those are slightly wasted, such as the slash that defies the O. So those are your 3. What time is it? It's 1:55. We have time to do our hyperlink. So you guys are keep voting on that. Real quick, I want to take just a look at what you guys are saying in the chat. Reverb Mike making funny jokes. Chris is liking the ampersand in Fenway. So let me do a quick zoom in of that. This is what Chris is taking away from that. Allison is saying that Cloisterfuch is so intense, which is very true. But they do some cool stuff with, like, you know, different almost beer labels here or poster design, which I think can work really well. You would want to pair it with something else, obviously. I like the font in quotation marks and words in quotation marks, which is fun. And Allison says she likes it in the poster example for the Hamlet. All right. And then we got 2 different hyperlinks for you guys that I want to get through. We're going to camp. Let's go to camp. Hyperlinks. Every single time there is an update to this website, I feature it because Neil.fun is one of the most fun websites on the internet. It constantly is a bunch of internet toys that you can go around and play with. This is best viewed and experienced on desktop because you really can't do it on mobile, and it is bringing your little cursor to camp. And it's that, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. It uses live action of where you are placing your cursor on the screen, and you can bring it around and do little activities. It is here somewhere. I thought it was, but I guess not. Neil.fun cursor camp. It's even got some fun sound design. Oops, I gotta hop out of here so you can hear it. And you can see a bunch of other cursors all around here. And you can go and you can interact with stuff. You get different badges. You can go to the shop I don't have any points yet because I still have to do some stuff. But I did get at one point a finder's badge because I went over here and I picked up a nice little metal detector. And then I went over here and I found something over here with some noises, and it gave me a finder's badge. You know, you can go through, you can see the origin of people everywhere. Oop, what's this guy? Oop, I got a seashell by the seashore. So that means that I can then add that to my currency. Oop, oh, look at me. I'm not even moving my cursor anymore, but now it's moving for me as it goes around. And it's going down the lazy river. I love the lazy river. So there, oh, get out of the water, cursor. Super fun, super stupid. No real use case except just fun and joy on the internet. And you know what? And sometimes that's important. So that's just cursor camp. And then we're super tight on time. So maybe I'll just save this last hyperlink for next week, and we'll go back over to font of the week. So that way we don't cut off our CA and LA girls. So how are we looking in the poll, you guys? How are we feeling? Do you guys need me to pull back up what we're looking at for the 3 use cases here? And don't worry, I have the crown this time because I know last time we didn't have the crown. We're going to go here, and we are going to close out the poll. I'm going to give you guys like 10 more seconds here. Tracy says that she likes the cursor camp because her cursor needs a break too. I think we do. Wade also says, I'll need floaties for my cursor safety first. Yeah, that's true. Very important. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end this poll. Oh, but it's at a tie, so we can't. All right. If it doesn't fix itself in like 10 seconds, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to vote for the one that I want to win. And I'm going to be the tie breaker. But I want to make sure that it is officially broken and not just me saying it's broken. And so with that, I will vote. Oh, but it's not even helping. Actually, it didn't. I didn't realize that it hadn't. Oh, no. Oh, goodness. No, we need one more vote, you guys. We need one more vote. As you guys are trying to vote one more time, I do want to say it's a great time to say make sure you subscribe to File New as a podcast. What I've been doing is I've been uploading the unedited version just like an hour after the stream. That way you can have access to a full replay. And then my good friend Zach is editing these down to way more condensable 20-minute episodes that then are being uploaded to both my YouTube and to the podcast side. So make sure you also follow me, Ryan Selvey, on YouTube. Got some fun shorts, got really good optimized versions of the show. And maybe in the future, if I get enough subscribers, I can start making long form content on its own, which then we can then have fun with. So a follow on YouTube goes a really long way, and I really appreciate it. Also, if you listen to the podcast, please do me a favor and rate the podcast. It helps with discovery. And we finally have a winner. So I'm going to end it. And it looks like with... Oh, wait. But it was there. Oh, it evened out. All right. Well, this says that it's technically a tie. So does that mean we have... If we have a tie, does that mean that we crown both winners? Or do I then also bring out whatever it is? To be determined. But all right, guys. Then we'll say... I don't know. What will we say? I also see that we need an I voted sticker for Chris. Dang. All right. I mean, I guess we're going to say... I don't know. We can like flip a coin or something. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do both. Maybe they'll both be winners. Maybe they'll both be... This is the first time we ever have a tie for a win. And the Fontsa of the week. So our Fontsa of the week is Johannes and Fenway. It's a tie. Can you believe it? Not me. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Ryan Selvey. Follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram. Stick around for CANLA coming up right now. And thank you guys all for being here. We'll be here. And we'll be here same time, same place next week. And I'll also be live in Times Square on Sunday on Mother's Day on Adobe Live. So I guess just look forward to that. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye. I guess also would be a good time to also say, make sure you like this video if you haven't already liked it. Give it a thumbs up for me. Thank you.